The truth is, most people don't forgive themselves because they think it was their responsibility. Like they're mad at themselves because they believe, why were they in the situation? How could they let themselves be dragged along for so long? How could they let themselves be made felt that way? How could they let anyone else take that power from them? And the truth is that you're not wrong for wanting something good. Like you're not wrong for wanting to be loved. You're not wrong for wanting to love. You're not wrong for envisioning something in the future. You're not wrong for just wanting the most basic thing that we all deserve, which is to be loved or to be cared for. And we become mad at ourselves because we see the red flags, we see the stumbling blocks, we see those things when we are away from those things. And even then, even though we see all those things, we still want them to be the person we envisioned. The reality is that they are not who we imagine them to be. They are who they're showing us they are. And even though we want them to fit into those things, it doesn't mean that this is who they actually are. And the reality for a lot of people is that forgiving ourselves is a mountain. Like there's so many factors to this. It's not just like emotional relationships or stuff like that. Because this is again, that's like the easiest one. I always say it's low bearing fruit. It's easy to pick at relationships because that's something that so many people struggle with. But even with like things that we've done in our lives, like things that we've errors that we've made, mistakes that we make, there's sometimes that we dwell so much in what we've done that we never leave it alone. Like we go back to the mistake that we've made and we try to repiece things, or we try to feel the shame of what it was like. And I need you to understand that you're not there anymore. That you deserve and are allowed to move and grow from something, and you should learn from it. I'm not saying disregard it and not care for it. I'm saying learn and realize that that thing happened. You might have made a mistake, but you're not your shame. You're not a byproduct of where you were. This is why sometimes we find it so much harder to forgive ourselves. Like it's easy for us to look at other people and understand their mistakes and their grief, and look at them as people and say it's okay, you're forgiven, I forgive you, or even understand that they deserve forgiveness. But when it comes to us, when it's us personally, we really struggle to forgive ourselves. And there's so many folds to that. We're going to dive deeper into that. But the reality is that for a lot of us, we understand that we should do better. Like we know that we're capable of being better. We're capable of more. So what happens is that when we make these mistakes, when we fall short, when we fail, we're harder on ourselves than we would be on anyone else. And I'm not saying to disregard that, to not care about you being better, to not care about you progressing, about you doing the things you need to do. I'm not saying don't do those things because they're important, they're true, they're good. But I am saying is that you deserve to give yourself the same grace that you'd give anyone else. You deserve to understand that you are human, and that comes with a lot of flaw. It comes with a lot of failure. And it's okay to make mistakes. What's not okay is to repeat them and go back and do it over. Because at that point, it's not a mistake, it's a decision, right? You're choosing to make the same thing over and over and over again, and you need to grow from those things. But it's easier for us to forgive other people because we expect them to mess up. Like we expect people to be human. We expect them to do things and to have flaws, and we sympathize and empathize with them. We look at them and we say, wow, I'm so sorry you're going through this. It's okay to not hold this over yourself. But when it comes to us, we are our hardest critic. So I don't know where you are in your life, and if this necessarily relates to the current season you're in, or it relates to a season you were in, or a season you will be in. I do think that we all struggle with this throughout our lives because it's hard for us to understand that we deserve to be forgiven. And if you've never given yourself permission, I just hope this is the day as we dive into this mountain for a lot of us, that you give yourself permission to be free from the things that you've done, from the shame of the past, from the lies of the past, from the things that have been held over you, or being held over you, that you are not those things. And if you've made 1,000 mistakes, this is day one of those 1,000 mistakes being in your past. Because again, I'm not saying that they weren't bad, that they didn't have value, they didn't have worth, didn't have weight, that they were things that were mistakes, but that's the things that they were, not they are. And maybe there's trickle effect of those things, but you're not in the center of it, you're in the outside. You deserve to forgive yourself. because something happens, right? When we don't learn to let things go, when we don't learn to allow this to leave, well, from the scientific component, we actually create more stress. There's a book called, and I believe I've quoted it before, the body keeps the score. That your body physically, actually, like physical, like literally, chemically in your body and physical implements in your body take on the weight of the things that you're holding over yourself. So, like example, your body produces the stressor hormone, cortisol. It actually goes into your body in ways that it affects your body, hurts you. It actually produces fat. Like that's literally the thing that it does. When you are aggravated and create this pain, your body doesn't know how to react. It becomes deregulated. So you have this physical outcome of holding on to shame. You have this physical outcome of holding on to pain, of holding on to the things that you haven't forgiven yourself for. And it's going to keep replaying and replaying. Why? Because our brains are not very good at creating healthy memories. All they do is repeat a memory of a memory. So we are looking at the worst possible outcome of this situation. Might not even be the situation itself. It's a byproduct of what our brain created. And you're living in something that you deserve freedom from. And we're going to talk about that, right? A little deeper, how to actually gain freedom from these things and to be honest, about spoiler alert, most of this, if not all of this, comes from what you repeat and what you believe, what you're willing to say about yourself, opposed to what you have been told to believe about yourself. So there's this weight that we hold in our chest, in our shoulders, and in our jaws. This is why when people say like, let your shoulders down, unclench your jaw, relax, take a deep breath, be patient, be present. All these things is that they allow us to do it because it's, again, a physical component of what we're feeling. But there's this weight of unhealed guilt and shame. Like there's something that hovers over us and that we carry into every relationship, every career, every path that we go into, everything that we do on our own. We carry the weight of that shame. We carry the weight of that guilt. And again, there is a healthy component to this of understanding where you failed, where you messed up, and understanding that you can heal and grow from that. But the healthiest thing that you'll ever do is define that you're not that you don't need to continue to carry things into the next seasons of your life that weren't meant to be there. There's this like analogy almost where a man is leaving and he's leaving his house, and every time he leaves, he comes back, and he leaves, he comes back, and he leaves. But every time he's taking something more into his travel case, his suitcase. It's not a rolling bag because it's making it a lot easier. It's just a carry-on. And he's going, and he's coming back, and every time it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Why? Because he keeps going back to a place where he was not supposed to be in, a place where he was already freed from. For a lot of us, we do that. We go back to the shame. We go back to the moment. We go back to the memory. We go back to the person. And again, these aren't even valid memories. Like they're things of our brain's construction, either to protect us or to keep us away. Our brains aren't very good at remembering things. So it just makes it worse. And every time we go back to this thing, we carry more of that thing with us into this next place. We don't leave the things that were meant to stay there. We bring them into this next stage. So the shame, the guilt, the heaviness of this thing, it never leaves you because you're continuing to bring it into new places. And you refuse to unpack that thing and let it go. And this is, I tell this story often because there's a show called Hoarders. And if you've never seen the show Hoarders, it's a disorder, right? This hoarding is a emotional disorder ultimately, but also mental, but an emotional disorder because people tend to create attachment to certain things, right? They create attachment to even the smallest thing in the world, but they don't know where they're going to see it again, or they don't know how, they don't know where they got it from, but it has a memory or has something attached to it. So they produce this attachment that so much so that everything in their house becomes disgusting and just overflowing and just essentially filled with garbage. And if you've ever seen the show Hoarders, it's like, how do people live like that? Like, how do they live with so many things that are causing so much mess and so much dirt and so much stink, and they literally can't live in their own home effectively, even use the toilet effectively, because there's so much they're packing. I believe that a lot of people are emotional hoarders. Like, we are shameful hoarders. We hold on to things and to memories because they're attached to certain people or to certain moments, and we're afraid that if we let this thing go, that it's going to let go of that particular person or moment or memory or going to make us not be accountable for the things that we've done. I believe that a lot of people are struggling with this because they become so accustomed to it that they're unaware that they're hoarding. And they're hoarding their emotions, they're hoarding their shame, they're hoarding memories in hopes that they never have to let go of that particular season. They never have to let go of that particular person, that particular job, that particular feeling that they had. For a lot of people, we struggle to let go of the weight of shame, the weight of guilt, because we keep it with us. We make home where all this stuff is. And it becomes this huge part of our identity. You're not the worst thing that you've ever done, but you are responsible for becoming who you become after it. Like, you are not the things that you lived in your past. You're not what you've been said about. You're not your biggest flaws and mistakes. Everyone has a chance. Everyone has redemption. This is why I love being Christian. I love the gospel, because every person has a moment to be redeemed. You have a moment right now, even, to accept who you fully are and not who you've been told you have to be. To accept the fullness of the gift that you've been given, the ability, the talent, the reality of letting yourself be who you are, and not being a hoarder of your emotions, not hoarding how you're feeling, not dwelling and living in a place that you already rescued from. Too many people live so deeply in their shame that they never know who they fully are. They live their whole lives in the things that they've done and the mistakes that they've been in and the things that aren't even their identity, but they've been imprinted with this so deeply that this is who they really believe. You really believe that you are your shame. Like, you really believe that you're your brokenness. You really believe that you aren't worthy. And this is the biggest lie that would ever happen, because let's just pretend that you believe that there's a devil. And if there is a devil, his one goal is to make you believe that you're not full. Because if you're broken, you're easy to manipulate. This is why people, when they're psychotic, the people that they go after typically are the broken people. Because they don't fully know who they are. They've identified themselves so deeply and so rooted with their wounds that their wounds are all they've identified their whole life with. It's the only thing that they gravitate around. But you're not those things. You're not your shame. You're not your brokenness. You are who you are choosing to be today. And like, when I mean today, I mean like right now, as you're listening to this podcast, as you're watching this video, whatever it is, this very moment, you are free of all that shame.